Hey, what's good, everyone? Hey, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight to Be Empowered. I have some special guests tonight, and the topic today is we're going to be talking about did HBCUs fail the Black community? This is going to be, I think, a very relevant topic that's still relevant today and that needs to be discussed. So, hey, tune in, buckle down. We're gonna have some good conversations tonight. But before we do that, I just want everyone to please go to the Black Empowerment Movement YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, share a video. We keep bringing you content every week, multiple videos every week. So be sure to like and subscribe to that. And enjoy the broadcast tonight. Also, if you're watching right now, go ahead and share this video so other people can watch. Comment in the comment section, leave us a comment. Also, let me know if you want to join in on the conversation tonight. I can send you the link and we can bring you on into the conversation. But without further ado, let me get started with our guests. I want to introduce my guests. I have Demerick, I have Jeremy, and I have Kellyanne. So I'm just gonna go around, let everyone introduce themselves, tell about their organizations, what they're a part of, what they're doing, what HBCU they attended. I'm gonna start off with Kelly. Go ahead. Since you the lady with us, you can go first. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Kentu. Hey, everyone. Happy Tuesday night. My name is Kelly Ann. I am a proud Black Empowerment Movement member based out of Miami, Florida. I'm a community organizer in my day job, and I also serve on a local community council. So I'm a local politician in South Dade. And I attended briefly Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. And I've also attended PWIs, which are primarily white institutions. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this conversation and hopefully give a balanced perspective.
Yeah, no doubt. I know you will. And my good brother Jeremy. Once was a former member of Black Empowerment Movement. I still consider him family though. Hey Jeremy, give us a brief introduction about yourself, man. What HBCU you attended?
Yes, my name is Jeremy Drake, Fort Worth, Texas. I attended Prairie View A&M University in Prairie View, Texas, just outside of Houston, Texas. Uh, Purple and Gold, Panther Pride. We just handled Grambling State, but that's in the past. But that's what we do. But I'm a member of, still a member of Black Empowerment movement. It's like an advisory role. uh, Vice President, former Vice President of Rebirth DFW that was based out of Dallas. We worked with Kentu back in the day. I'm currently a secretary for a legacy group out of Fort Worth, Texas called, it's an acronym for Leaders Encouraging Greatness amongst Como Youth. We just bringing Black empowerment to our community, try to restore our community back to where it was prior to the 80s drug rush, whatever you want to call it, and gang activity. So we're just trying to educate our people on a full spectrum, education to the youth, the elderly, finances, everything, everything that we're lacking in our community. That's what we're working on for our neighborhood.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, Jeremy, you guys in the Como area, Fort Worth, y'all doing a lot of great things, man. I just want to say, keep it going, man. The world is definitely
Okay.
locally, everyone is watching you, strong Black men. I'm definitely gonna be reaching out to you and them other guys over there in the Como area, man. We gotta link up and do something. And Demerick, man, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. I see you around in the community. Uh, man, you have a maturity about yourself, brother, and I'm so glad you jumped on. The way you carry yourself, you think you my age. You come off like you 38, man, but you ain't what 22 or something. But I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Glad to be here. My name is Demerick Ross. I'm 23, actually. I am a senior at Texas Southern University, studying speech communications. Uh, need I say the best HBCU in Texas? That's a word to the Panthers on the line. I transferred from Texas Southern, from Howard University. So my HBCU experience is kind of wide ranged in that I went to Howard first to study acting, and then got involved. I was one of the founding members of a group called HU Resist, which eventually took over the administration building in 2017 to force the university to address needs that were relevant to the Black community, relevant to the students at Howard University, and then even at Texas Southern University, still heavily involved on campus with challenging administrators to do their part in being intentional about what HBCUs mean and what their relevance to the larger Black community would be. I remember probably my first semester at TSU, I wrote a 5-page paper why this white teacher should not have been teaching African American studies. And I presented it to the chair of our department, who was a white man, who was the chair of the history department. And he was very displeased with that. And so my experience at HBCUs and my passion and love for HBCUs is wide range. So I'm excited to be a part of the convo.
All right. Well, you know what? We did the introduction, man. Let's just go ahead. Let's jump into this thing. Let me just ask this. Did the HBCU fail us? Because I just threw it in the subject line, they failed us, but I don't want to assume that. And y'all, honest opinion, do you guys feel like they failed the Black community? I just go around to you, Jeremy. What you feel about that? Do you, in your opinion, you feel like they in some type of way they failed us?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I mean, you look at the Black community. You have to ask yourself how many percentage of the Black community actually go to college, let alone a Black college.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to ask yourself how many of those actually come back. And actually, be honest with you, look at the big picture. You can't fault us for that. You have to look at how we were raised. We were raised to get out the hood, get out the community, to move on, leave it behind. So with that type of thinking and ideology, just growing up as a child to manhood and for generations. No, I mean, now some of us do come back and hold accountability to give back where we came from, but many of us don't. And also, if y'all go to Black colleges, you look at the rate of people that graduate from Black colleges and look at the rate how many give back to their alumni. So it's just a problem that carries on various levels. We taught to get it and leave. That's just how we're taught. We're not taught to come back and rebuild our communities. We're not taught to rebuild our communities, increase the Black dollar, stuff like that. We more Asians and Mexicans own our properties in our neighborhoods and Koreans than we do, as far as the financial infrastructure. All we got is churches and liquor stores, but we don't even own a liquor store.
Man, I'm gonna go back to that.
You can't say that's the responsibility of people who went to college when our mindset is not to come back, and it's proven like that.
Is it the responsibility of the university? Is it a responsibility of the university to instill that in the people that's going?
You would hope so. At Prairie View, we were taught that. With Prairie View, right off the bat, we weren't taught to get a job. We would get taught maybe get a job, but create your own business. So, and with that, you had some people who learned and wanted to get back to their communities and understood what was missing from their communities. But some people don't get that. Some people are more focused on just doing better for themselves and their families, or just doing better for themselves.
Okay. So, and Kelly, what you think?
I think it's an interesting question. I love that Jerm brought up the alumni, so I hope we touch on that later. I honestly feel, if anything, Black people have failed HBCUs, because my experience going to Clark Atlanta University, that was the best year and a half of my life, to be honest with you. I met Black folks from all across the country. I'm from Miami. I met Black folks from Florida that went to Georgia. I met Black folks from California. I met Black folks from Texas. I met Black folks from New York. I learned what go-go music was for the first time going to HBCU. So it's like a mini American, seriously, like Clark Atlanta University was like a mini African diaspora of just Black people across the United States in one university. And then on top of that, where Clark Atlanta University is located, it's called the Atlanta University, the AUC. They call it the Atlanta University Center because there's Spelman, there's Morehouse, and Clark. So and then down the street, Morris Brown. So you really had within 5 miles 4 Black universities. That's just an amazing experience any young Black person in this country should experience, because, you know, I had the privilege of growing up and going to schools with Black people, but a lot of Black people go to HBCUs because that's their first time even being around other Black people. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I just learned so much. And again, although I didn't graduate from Clark Atlanta, like just the culture of meeting the Black people from all across the United States, the professors that really embraced us and kept it real about corporate America. Even our slogan, find a way or make one. Like, I still remember that 12 years later, and I graduated in 2007. And I went to Clark Atlanta from 2007 to 2009. So I say all that to say, just culturally, like HBCUs, they just pour so much into Black students and young Black people. I think you need to move. Sorry, my daughter is like in the background. But yes, I think if anything, like, we need to be instilling in our children to pick HBCUs first. And I know that they have their issues, right, with financial aid. If you're on financial aid, you're waiting for days and all the little memes that they say at Black colleges. But if anything, Black people need to be instilling in their children to pick a HBCU first, because those are institutions that were made because we were denied from going to white colleges. Like, that's my take on it.
Yeah, and that's a fair take, a fair and a very good take. Demeric, how you feel?
I would say I don't feel that HBCUs have necessarily failed the Black community, because I think that, you know, if you just look at the history of HBCUs and, you know, their involvement with civil rights, with the Black Power movement of the 1970s, and like really being a hub for that sort of Black radical, you know, movement, I think is important. And I think that the better question, though, is, you know, what are the responsibilities that HBCUs have to the Black community? And I think that, you know, we should be more intentional about those responsibilities. You know, I had a professor just last week. We were in a communications class, and we were talking about, you know, group communication, organizational communication. And, you know, I had used as an example, the question was, you know, why can't Black people have anything for ourselves? And, you know, I flipped the question on its head and said, you know, it's not that we don't have anything. We have organizations, we have HBCUs, we have, you know, movements and things. But the issue is, why can't we keep those things Black? And, you know, and I mentioned COINTELPRO as an example of, you know, the government or the state's approach to these Black bastions, if you will, of radical freedom, you know, freedom fighting movement. And she said, you know, she was like, what's this COINTELPRO? What is, you know, and it was something, you know, that small. And someone mentioned, oh, that's what happened to NWA. And she was like, oh, I'll have to write this down and you know, really look at this. And so to me, like, the responsibilities that HBCUs have, you know, if it's just going to be a place for Black students to, you know, to convene, you know, then I would say that it's less relevant to the Black community. But it really has to be that you're getting an education that is different, you know, and that that challenges an education elsewhere. Because, you know, otherwise, why would people choose to go? Just because, you know, there are Black people around. But, you know, there should be that sense of, you know, Black pride. And, you know, you should expect when you go to an HBCU that you're getting something uniquely different, and not just in terms of the culture, right, in terms of the people around you, but in terms of the education and the academic experience that you're getting. It should be something that teaches you COINTELPRO, that teaches you all of the ways in which the state has enacted violence, genocide, murder against Black communities since its inception. And if it does not do that, then what then is the point of an HBCU?
Man, now with hearing each one of you guys' points, it sounds like y'all all on one accordance on that. Y'all pretty much agree that overall they haven't failed the Black community. More so, what I'm getting from everyone, if y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is like we should take more responsibility as individuals when we go there to take something from it, right?
Yes, and yes, I agree. I would agree with that. But like I say, like Mr. Brother Ross was saying, we need to give back to give more to the Black communities. But you have to ask yourself, how are we going to do that? And our communities can't give to themselves. See, this all
Yeah.
boils down to finances when you get down to the equation of it, the bare bones of it. Black neighborhoods don't support themselves. We ask for handouts through the government and whatnot. Until we start to support ourselves and empower ourselves financially and on our own business, our neighborhoods, and keep the black dollar in black hands for longer than other races, and then compete like that, then we'll be able to support black colleges and give them that support that they need. I mean,
But German, my
I'll be
thing
honest with you,
is, but my thing is, German is as 18 and 19-year olds, don't is the responsibility on the university to instill that in the youth when they're coming there? The youth shouldn't go there with the mindset already.
uh, I
Like
don't know.
me being an 18-year-old, I shouldn't I don't know shit about that. That's where I go. That's I would hope that's the reason why my parents would send me to a black university to instill that shit in me, right?
Well, that goes back to what you said. Key word: parents. If you have black parents and they know the struggle of where we are today, a good percentage of that should be already be within you. Because I ain't gonna lie,
But
when I
but
got to
but
Prairie,
but they paying money. They expect something to be put into that child.
oh yeah, you will. Like the sister said, you go have something in you when you get to going to a black college. First and foremost, like I said, and a lot of people don't think as much, but that culture, that black culture, and like Brother Ross said, when you get to a black campus, I don't care whether it be Prairie View, Spelman, TSU, Alcorn, Grambling, you're gonna feel that black drive within you to be better. I mean,
True,
and I
true.
think they can all attest to it. You gonna have those, like you say, that's just there enjoying the moment, and then you won't see them next semester. But you'll have those who get it and grasp onto it and become very successful. So I don't know. Everyone that I know that's gone to the school, or people I've dealt with in college, is a success story in itself, some type of way, and they
This
do
my
give back.
I'm gonna leave this open to y'all. Let me see who can take it. As an outsider that never attended a HBCU, I went visit the campus. I went to the Jackson State campus a lot. It seemed like as a young person I didn't realize, but looking back as an older version, like an older me now, the only like all this stuff, like the Merrick was saying about COINTELPRO, about the culture, about things that history wise, about Mega Everest, um, it's a shame that you only learn it in a black history study program at a black university. That within itself it's a fucking shame. Like
I
I
don't know.
don't know
I don't know
people
what
that
you
go.
talking about. At Prairie View, we used to have groups that talked about black empowerment. So that's what I'm talking. That's what
Yeah.
I mean about the culture. There was an organized culture. Whatever you didn't have in those classrooms, you had
Hmm.
on the campus, and it got
Okay.
talked about in those classrooms. You had
Okay.
we questioned, like we questioned the history. So we brought about the truth in our history class. I mean, our quote unquote white history class, because you would get those teachings from the just the vibe around the campus and those groups that you decide to join, or people that just publicly speaking. You learn something each and every day that you learn to question what was written and what you were given. I'm talking about the white history that we was given in the class. Now, like
Yeah.
you said, we did have a African American studies class, but it taught you that. I mean, at Prairie, you learned that you're taught that, and I think for just every individual that I know that went to a black college or their journey in life, it empowered them, and it kind of I feel that it gives you a level up in the world when you go to a black college, because you got to
Kelly, that
understand when
was
you
your
just
experience as well. Kelly,
Can you repeat the question?
I was saying that was your experience as well. you learn about culture, about COINTEL, about Black empowerment, not just in the African American studies class, but actually like just in general with the environment of being in a HBCU?
Well, I can't say that I was only there for a year and a half, so I didn't really get deep into. I can't say that I really learned like the real Black history, but what I did get is the empowerment just by being in that environment. I wanted to speak to what you asked earlier, because I believe you asked, is it the responsibility of the university to instill giving back to the community? Yeah. I think absolutely. I think every college has this, but I know Clark Atlanta definitely had this, which is called, and maybe Demeric can speak to this since he's a current student, they have a pre-alumni council. So what that does is they recruit you early as a student to say, hey, when you become an alumni and you graduate, these are the things that you need to do. I remember Clark Atlanta specifically had that. Like, so they had a club already in place. So when you graduate, you give back through dues, or you donate back, or even share your experience back. So yeah, I do think every university, but especially Black colleges, should teach their students, hey, when you graduate, you need to, donate, because that's how these Ivy League schools get so many funds. Like Harvard and Yale, they have strong alumni networks. Maybe Howard also. But yes, I agree with that. I know that's not what you quite asked me, but I think colleges, I think especially HBCUs, because we suffer like period, just being Black institutions, I think they should definitely teach their students to give back in multiple ways, whether it's financial, whether it's just you being a success story and speaking to the students, whether it's through just offering your network, even outside of being a Greek. I definitely agree with that. I think HBCU should instill giving back. I think that's a responsibility.
And going back to Demeric, what has been your experience with some of the things I just mentioned? Like, do you agree? Do you see it, or you don't see it at all?
I would say it's hit or miss at times. I think a lot of the education, a lot of what I've learned has come from, like Germ said, about has come from organizations that we've had to create ourselves, like the HU Resist organization. Like, we came together after our president at the time at Howard met with Betsy DeVos secretly. And this was right, I graduated high school in 2016, went to Howard 2016. So this was right during the Trump election. And so, people were very, hot as naturally so. And so we came up with this organization. We created a list of 7 demands, from banning Donald Trump, from banning them from accepting any funds from the government, because we know that once you're accepting money, and I think that this is, this speaks to some of what we've been talking about giving back. And I think that structurally HBCUs are not all, positioned in a place to support the larger needs of the Black community in its fight for freedom and fight for liberation, because of the ways in which, state universities have to abide by certain things in curriculums. Like for a TSU compared to a Howard University, which is a private institution, right, that is funded in part by an appropriation from Congress, but also by, grants, endowments and alumni, all of those things. Howard can take more risk in terms of, conscious issues and social justice issues than a TSU can under Greg Abbott, right? Because TSU is a state-run institution that is followed, that is adhering to a board of regents that is appointed by the governor of the state, right? And so I think that there's a larger conversation that has to be had about the structure of HBCUs and how and that's what we were fighting for with HU Resist, is how do we become less dependent on government funding, right? Because we know that once government funding is entered into the situation, it's, you're less likely, you're probably not going to be able to be as unapologetic about certain things. And I think that, today in our classes, that's why these organizations form. And that's why, we have panels like this, even at school, we have these conversations so that students don't think, that just what you learn in the classroom is that HBCU experience, because the HBCU experience is, I say probably 90% what's happening outside of the classroom and 10% what you're learning on the inside. But, that 10% should be stronger. It should be, it shouldn't just be that you go to a music class and you're learning Beethoven and Bach, right? You shouldn't go to a math class and you're just learning about Greek mathematicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
And HBCU should be giving you an education that is centered around Blackness.
And now, let me stick with you on that, Demar. So just the panel in general, do y'all guys feel like it should be, from listening to you guys, it sounds like more of the people outside in the grassroots should be reaching out and partnering with the HBCUs? You think it's that bridge need to be connected? It need to be a bridge formed to connect the grassroots with the HBCUs, where you have people out here in the streets really doing the groundwork, the grassroots work, connected with the students, young, fresh, energetic, got fresh ideas. You think it should be a bridge connected? That's one issue that needs to be taken care of. It needs to be that bridge right there with the grassroots and the HBCUs.
I would say that the first thing we have to do as HBCUs, with regards to HBCUs, is we really have to come to an agreement on what the function and relevance of HBCUs will be. And because as long as we continue to just think about them as universities with some Black history, then everything that it produces will just, will always be surface. But if we can come to a real consensus about what an HBCU education should be, what an HBCU experience should be, right? It should challenge notions of American individualism, right? It should challenge these notions of whiteness and of white exceptionalism and white supremacy. Like, it should challenge all of those things, but not enough of our HBCUs have an agreement on, what that looks like. And I think that is the starting point, because if you can go to an HBCU like TSU and have a white chair professor of the history department telling you that the movie 13th by Ava DuVernay was just political BS, then, it's structurally, it is not supporting the larger needs of the Black community. And we have to have conversations about that, and how we, who are we hiring? Why are we hiring them? What is the education that we're teaching? What is the angle that we're coming from? What are the things that are important that you feel, a student should walk away with if they attend an HBCU? And that, I think, is ground zero for us defining the function and the relevance of HBCUs to today, because a lot of HBCUs will talk about history, and the critique that a lot of people talk about with the church is like, how many times are you going to talk about what they did to Jesus before you talk about what they're doing right now? And, a lot of HBCUs will tell you about how their HBCU was a part of the sit-in movements, a part of the civil rights, about it. But what are these institutions doing now to address justice efforts, to address liberation, to address, a Black-centered consciousness?
So let's stay on that point. And I'm gonna throw this at you, Jerm. In your opinion, and he brought up a good point, a good talking point. What should be the focus, in your opinion, focus of the HBCUs? What should there be their focus on improving the Black community?
I think there could be better communications as far as when you're coming into college as a freshman, especially with Black colleges. A lot of kids that go to Black colleges, for the main reason a lot of people don't realize, they can't get into a white college, whether it be an ACT, SAT, or just GPA overall, period. So I think that there should be a clear line of communications as far as like we've been discussing. We should create that pipeline, say, if you will, with the neighborhood to college gaps. So when you're going through college, you understand what it's for, that you're supposed to give back. You need to give back, or even go back if you can.
Mhm.
But I think that's where it needs to be. And even graduating, like you said, with the alumni, it needs to be reinforced and instill that as far as giving back to the alumni as well. And then these alumni have to get more involved with the communities as well. So it's more of a, honestly, it's more of us just getting organized as neighborhoods. I mean, and also with that being said, you have to decide. You have to get your demographic studies right to see where your people coming from to attend your college. So you know where to shoot your message.
Mm.
But you just can't send out a blanket statement. I'm down here in Texas, and you trying to send me a message from a black college in New York. I'm not even feeling that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you know about colleges going out of state fees each year. So we really have to just. I think it's like this bottom line communication. As with all black issues, we need better lines of communication and better planning instead of
Got you.
accepting what's given.
And Kelly, what you think? What you think the college should be focusing on?
I like what Jameric said about getting aligned on centering the curriculum and education in Blackness. But what I think HBCU should do, and at least what I felt was instilled into me at Clark Atlanta the short time I was there, is arming and equipping Black students to survive in America, whether that's corporate America, whether that's entrepreneurship. I know Clark had a really strong business program. So I think that HBCUs primarily, because you're getting Black people from all walks of life, maybe had never been around Black kids before, maybe been the hoodest, maybe has been in the middle. I think HBCU's goal is to just train and equip and educate a Black student, a young person, to make it in this country. But I do want to address your earlier question about should HBCUs reach out to grassroots organizations? Absolutely, because honestly, when I think about it, most HBCUs, the ones that I visited, Grambling, I've visited FAMU, I've been in the AUC. They're all in the hood. Normally they're in the hood or they're in the Black side of town. I remember, matter of fact, a few years after I graduated, a girl from Spelman got shot in the head because Spelman is in the middle of the hood. So I can't recall if Clark really reached out to the people who actually lived on the west side of Atlanta. You know what I mean? So I think HBCUs do need to do a better job in engaging in the communities that surround them, because by being Black schools, we're in the blacker, or we're by proxy in the poorer parts of town. So there needs to be a better connection. I know the one HBCU, the one HBCU in Miami is Florida Memorial University, and that's right in Miami Gardens. That's the hood. I can or cannot say if they do engage like kids that actually live there, but I think HBCUs should absolutely be trying to reach out to the local community, because more often than not, they're on the Black side of town.
And man, Kelly, you brought up an interesting point, because I want to go there since you brought it up. It seemed like, and guys, I could be wrong. Like I said, I did not go to HBCU. I went to whitest of white school. I went to Ole Miss.
Yeah, you went to white school, boy. Texas. That's a private school.
So I went to Ole Miss. So let's put that in context. So, but it seemed like to me that the HBCUs, they main agenda is to serve a certain class of Black people. It seemed like it meant to serve the bourgeoisie Black people. Because like Kelly said, and we taking small sample size, I never seen HBCUs go back and reach out to people in the hood. It may be other people that feel like that. You guys may feel like that, German and Demeric, but it feel like they purpose and their goal is to serve the bourgeoisie Black people, to better those type of people. Like you said, that's why I say it needs to be a bridge with the grassroots, so we can start working with the inner city and the Black community. Because like Kelly said, a lot of these HBCUs are in the hood. Because when I go to Jackson State is in the smack dead in the middle of the hood. I used to go there all the time. It's hood. It might be a little nicer compared when I used to go on the campus, but Jackson State was really, really hood back in the day when I used to go on the campus. And I ain't never see them getting involved with the hood. But maybe they do now. But I think they really try to serve the bourgeoisie type of Black people. And I think it really needs to be a bridge right there with the grassroots organization to funnel them into those Black communities to do more serving to them. So overall, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but that was just my personal take a little bit since Kelly brought that up. I don't know if y'all agree with that or not. What you feel about that, Demary?
I would say that Kwame Ture, and Kwame Ture has an interesting history with Howard University, and that's to the point about structurally HBCUs just not being sound enough or solid enough to support students, especially not radical students like Kwame Ture, but like Howard eventually gave over his personal information to the FBI, during the 1970s, Black Power movement. And I think that, Kwame Ture says that at Howard, and this is true for every HBCU, in my opinion, you will find every Black thing in its opposite. And I think that that is a very true statement, is that, for every, Omarosa went to Howard, and for every Omarosa, there is still two, Kwame Ture. So it just really depends
Okay.
on, the organizations that you're connected with, the folks the communities that you find, because my experience as one of the founding members of HU Resist is vastly different than someone who may have, only went to class every day in the School of Business and, is now working for Goldman Sachs, right? It's not to say that Howard itself did not have those opportunities for that type of engagement. It's just that structurally it was not sound enough to support it. And as much as I love HBCUs, we have to realize, like Kwame Ture says, you'll find every Black thing in its opposite. And our goals are not, every Black person at HBCU goal is not the same. They don't see HBCUs in the same ways. They don't see the relevance the same, the function the same. And so, I can remember being, profiled and surveilled even at Howard University when we were, attempting to, demand the university to do better for its Black students. I remember there was a list with all of our names, and we made sure that as members of HU Resist, we say founding members now, but during that time, we wanted it to be a leaderless movement. We didn't want, we made it a point that at every board meeting, at every, session, every, panel, we sent different people in every time because we wanted them to feel like it was everybody at Howard University and you couldn't, pinpoint anyone. And so for our names to be on a list, we went back to the student affairs office, and I've asked, where did this come from? Who created it? Was it created by the university? Was it created by students? Where was it posted at? I only found this out because I requested, all of my records from Howard University. And so in those records were any emails, any phone calls, any notes, or anything that just loosely mentioned my name. And that was one of the things that was included. And so, the caution there is that even when we connect with these grassroots organizations, because, we made it a point with HU Resist that, we wanted to do things along with the community and not for the community. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of students, especially students who come from out of state, who don't come from those neighborhoods, do, is that, you go to this college and it's like, oh, now I need to change it. And we come up with this savior complex, if you will, about saving that community that we find ourselves in, when there are organizations like you mentioned that have been doing that work, that have been in the community, that are part of the community. And I think that students have to be more intentional about reaching out to those type of organizations and making sure that you do things along with the people because that, it's their community first, especially if you're not born and raised. I'm from Fort Worth. I'm not from Third Ward, Houston. And so, I take the lead from those folks that have been there doing the work on the ground level. And I think that we have to be more intentional about creating spaces like that, but then also realizing that Our administrators might not be happy, right? Our administrators might not support it. Our SGA might not give you the money to host the Black empowerment event that you want to do. And, it becomes the responsibility of those grassroots organizations within the community that will give you a space when you need a space. There were times where we couldn't get events because you had to be a part of an organization on campus to request a space to have an event. And so, if the organization is, and then, if the organization itself did not want to take the risk of hosting that type of event, then you're stuck, placating to folks who don't, have similar interests. But it was the grassroots organizations. It was, the community centers. I know, for example, the Shape Community Center in Houston in 3rd Ward is a community center that opens its doors and allows for events and discussions and panels and talkbacks and things that our universities may not allow.
Man, great point. Great point. So,
well, I have to interject real quick. I apologize.
Yeah,
I guess my situation was different because at Prairie View A&M University, I didn't realize that the Black college campus was like that because ours is.
hey, y'all see how
Well,
he's showing? He's saying at Perry View, hey, we weren't rocking like that.
I'm just
Y'all
saying
was
we was.
some cool
I ain't trying to
shit,
be funny,
man.
but seriously, I didn't realize that Black colleges were primarily in the Black communities because Prairie View is in the country, one of the most
Yeah.
beautiful campuses in the world. So I just didn't realize it was like that. So I don't. That's why I guess why I can't correlate. Working with the grassroots organizations. And if you know about anything about Prairie View, it's the 2 surrounding counties is in. It had the second and third highest Klan rate when I went back in '94. So
Damn,
I guess
Jeremy, how old are you, man?
45. So I guess I experience is a little bit different on that aspect. But so I didn't have that. We didn't have that. We still had community work with the schools and the counties and whatnot. But as far as the grassroots, I mean, you like I said, in Klan country, but you got a Black college smack dab in the middle of it, across the freeway. It's a little bit different. But it was a great experience. I guess that's why when you were at Prairie View, especially if y'all recall Sandra Bland, that road she got killed on, that was the main road to get to Prairie View. So now, like I said, that happened years later. I know in my time going to Prairie View, I don't think that ever would happen. Just straight up,
Wow.
And but that's a whole different subject. But I'm just saying that's how Prairie View was. Once you on that road, you're in. You feel like you knew you were safe. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only difference I could say for Black colleges. My experience, I didn't know it was like that for the colleges. I went to TSU once, bro. Brother Ross, you just went to the Road College. I went to TSU once, feel like this we was running. So, but
let me
I didn't know it was
mention
like
this.
that.
Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that was very informative because I just like thought I didn't know there was a place like that in Black communities like that. And if that's the case, that would change my whole answer. Yeah, they should be doing something. They should have a network already.
Yeah.
The network way I'm thinking is that's why the way I was gonna pose it to you is why as grassroots organizations in the community, why aren't we making sure we get with these kids before they go to college so they can spread it and bring it back? Because see, that's what we're trying to do. Because like I said, most of us from in our group out here, we went to Prairie View. Some of them went to other larger colleges, PWIs, but we're trying to get it where we can get them so they can go teach the message and bring it back and bring more people back. So I think that's
And
what
Jeremy, that's a great point because that was about to be my next point. And now you in the organization you belong to now in the Como area is rare. But I was about to say I'm about to get on the Black men asses now. It seems like a lot of Black men. It's not too much with the sisters, but with the Black men, we are so individualist. Like we when we come out of these institutions, it's a lot of brothers come out of these Black colleges. They do great things. They be the best employees and whatnot. Yes, sir, type people in corporate America and do all types of great things. But these black men, this is just black men, period. I'm just harping on black men, period, right now. That we don't work together. And I wish maybe I don't want to say it's up to the HBCUs to instill that. I think just black men and period, we don't work together. Maybe HBCUs, maybe they need to steal this in the black men that's coming out, they churning out of their universities. Because right now, the black men that are
Well,
coming out of these universities, they don't work together. It seems like everybody out for fucking self right now, in my opinion. Nobody's working together. Everybody trying to get a dollar. They trying to get a dollar and fuck bitches. That's it. So, like, I try,
well,
like,
that's
me in the Fort Worth area, it's so fucking hard to get brothers to come together to work together. Germ, you can attest to this too, man. You know it too. Brothers do not want to work together. I can get a bajillion black women that want to work with me on a project in the community, all type of shit. I can't get niggas to do shit. Can't get niggas to do shit.
well.
Whether they went to, especially the ones that went to HBCUs and being part of fraternity, them be the worst niggas that want to work with you. They definitely don't want to do shit. So what y'all take on that? Cause I'm tired of these niggas. These niggas are lazy around here. Especially ones from HBCUs. These niggas just want to get money and fuck hoes. So what y'all take on that?
Well, I mean, as a man, as a plant, you should be growing. So if you, calling yourself a perceived black, quote unquote, black man, and you've made a success for yourself, and you're doing well, and you finally, quote unquote, made it in American business class, and you still, what you saying, going around fucking hoes and whatever you saying. But I mean, if you still doing that, you're really not a man. And I mean, I mean, it's just the way it is. But at the same time, bro, what the question that we ask ourselves, we have to have an honest answer, a response to ourselves. I mean, look at rap. Rap was black empowerment at its finest well, like I said, I'm older. When I grew up, you had the Run DMC, but you had the Sugar Hill Gang, you had your Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, Big Daddy Kane, Queen Latifah's. Uh, you had just as amount as black empowerment than you did this new age shit, your booty shaking with all that.
Jeremy, don't
But
you do
now it's
that
like,
shit, y'all. You had Luke now. Don't you start that shit now.
and
You
we
had
and we jam blue.
yeah,
We
yeah. You
jam
had
blue.
freak mix.
Yeah,
You had freak
we
mix.
popped the
So
cookie
don't
and
you
all that.
start that. Don't
But
put
at the
that on
same
our
time,
generation.
you know, at the same time before the party closed out, we was UNITY. Because we had that.
No,
And
man. Get
we had that
out.
understanding. But you have to, I'm not, but seriously, you have to understand black culture. If y'all don't
Yeah.
realize by now, we would never keep nothing to ourselves. You know the history of the black man and just black culture, period, as far as America is concerned. Everything that we do gets taken.
Mm.
Even every invention, everything that you put like this. I remember back in the day, white kids wasn't fucking with no pits. White people love pits now. Uh, do rags. All of a sudden, I'm looking at this white magazine. They talking about do rags. Something we've been wearing do rags. Everything we do, everything that we do gets taken. But us as black people, we have to. But at the same time, we volunteer everything. We just give it up. We don't keep nothing to ourselves. There is no more perceived black code. Cause we tell everything on each other. We need to learn how to keep everything to ourselves and move as one, as a people. But that comes back to empowerment, unity, and getting some organization amongst ourselves.
How can we get
So
these
I mean,
HBCUs to instill that on these young brothers instead of coming out just wanting to get money and fuck hoes?
I think that they do. I put it like this: all the connects that I have in life right now comes from my HBCU experience. We work together. When I need something, I need to really get something. I can go pull that HBCU chain. I can find a brother or a sister, and get what I need or some type of direction as to what I need and some help. But you don't get that. I guess with today's, but I'll be honest. I haven't been to colleges. I don't know that mind state, but I do see that mind state in the streets. But you got, I mean, I can't blame them if that's what's going on in the streets when they when they before they go into college. You got dudes who still trying to do that when they didn't go to college. You got old cats my age still trying to do that. So I mean, it's just a accountability as men that we have to take upon ourselves. Because you also, and you know, Ken too. How there were more black women in the Black Panther Party than there were men through its entire inception.
Facts.
There's always been more women given to the cause than men. I
But it don't
mean,
mean we
and
need to continue
I
that
was talking to
trend
my
either. Now
homeboy last week. I said,
I don't want that trend to keep going on either. Though we need to get off our asses
but
now. But the
but
marriage,
there's always
we
been a
need to get
lack of
off our
there's always
asses.
been
I'm
an
trying
excessive
to
amount of
win.
queens and a lack of kings. I mean,
Man,
you
fuck
got to
that. We
choose
need
to
more
be a
men
king.
out here. We need to get some
I
brothers
mean, you
out
can
here.
say that. You can say that, but I mean, I was always taught you gotta work what you got in any organization, Greek, Masonic, any organization. Uh, you're gonna have what you call shirt wearers. People just doing it just to be there for the show. And you're gonna have your workers. We just gotta figure out who the workers and deal with and move with them going forward. And then that's the thing about those that's for the show. When they see the work is actually the show, they'll come do the work.
Mm,
But you
that
got to
is, you
recognize
know
that. You
what?
got to play your game like that,
I don't know if you
huh?
intentionally said. I don't know you intentionally know it or not, but you said exactly what Huey P. Newton said. They had what is called paper panthers, the ones that showed up when the events would come and they would be panthers for that day. So you basically explained paper panthers. But the
Yeah.
mayor, let me jump to the mayor real quick. What was your thoughts on that, man?
I would say, I mean, like I said, for every Omarosa, you have a, a Kwame Ture. You have a person that is committed to justice, is committed to community and collectivism. Um, it just even like myself, like I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. You Greek, very involved on campus, but also very aware about my place in this world and what blackness means and what but all of that I learned outside of the classroom itself. But I had some professors who were great, who instilled those type of values and virtues in me. And I think for those professors, I think that their contributions to my own life were invaluable. I can remember a professor, black professor. We would in our African American Studies class, we would always come in and we would do like a call and response. And he would, brothers and sisters, time to transition, knowledge is power and power is our mission. And we would do this whole, chant, and that would be our way to like center ourselves, within the class and get ready for class. And I think that those are little things about the HBCU experience that are so, just vastly different. Like you kind of having a cipher circle every class period, that is incorporating the use of spoken word, the use of call and response, right? Going back to West African traditions that have survived the Middle Passage. And I think that it's moments like that that show us what HBCU culture really is about and what it should be about. And so, I think that there are, there's a lot of work that we have to do as individuals, as students, as teachers, professors, administrators within the HBCU community. But I also think that there are a lot of folks that are doing that work, but aren't getting the spotlight, right? Like, and not even so much the spotlight, but are being intimidated or being, stifled or, are being completely like destroyed. I think that, my experience at Howard University, when I left Howard, I wasn't even able to come back because of the way the university, like every of that group of, I want to say maybe 7 of us, 2 or 3 graduated from Howard, continued at Howard. The rest of us were pushed out for a lot of different reasons, right? That we know are connected back to our involvement with radical organizations at the university. But, to the university, it will never be like that. And I think that, again, those organizations, those people, they exist. I think the better question is, how do we find ways to uplift them, to support them, right? Because, I'm a current student. So, to that point, there are current students that are still passionate about Black empowerment, passionate about Black liberation, but we are put. I ran for SGA president. I called out the university's. I called out the university's vice president of student affairs for not, speaking up about students who didn't have Wi-Fi access, who didn't when the pandemic hit, and like really challenging the university to support students who, again, are probably going back to not the best circumstances at home. And so I was disqualified for that, right? Disqualified for standing up for students. And I think that, again, to that point, it's not that we don't exist. It's not that we aren't out there working. It's not that we aren't passionate. It's just that these HBCUs are structurally designed to operate just like the American government, and that when there is dissent, you isolate it, you remove those people, you get them away, and you reinforce all of the things that you want to reinforce. And I think the HBCUs have worked like that. Let
me ask you this: like for me, Kelly, Germ, we part of grassroots organizations. So with you part of a grassroots organization yourself on the campus, how can people like us make an entry into the HBCUs to meet people like you and to work with like-minded students like you, so we can cultivate that young mind within the university, from they can reach out and touch their peers and spread that shit like a counselor on the campus? What is the barrier of entry? What should we be doing to make an entry into the HBCUs and talking to the like-minded people like yourself?
I think just being seen, being seen around campus, being seen around the universities, and just jumping in with organizations. I think a lot of these different organizations have websites, have places where you can kind of see that these are organizations that are on campus, and connecting in with those organizations. I know for a fact we did a night of solidarity when all of the uprisings were going on, and in response to the Botham Jean murder. And I remember it was the Nation of Islam, with some brothers from the Nation of Islam in Houston, that came out and spoke, and they gave, they were the keynote speaker for that event. And so, that is just an opportunity. I think that's an example of how that you kind of bridge those gaps, and that we were just having a night of solidarity rally, and they were just like, hey, we saw this flyer about an event that you all have coming up. Here's what we're doing. And of course we had, some of our students had already known of them, done work with them, collaborated with them. And so it was a natural relationship was kind of formed. And I think that to be known and to be seen on campus and around with other folks is the best way that I've learned people, will, collaborate with you, is when they can see you. They know that, okay, this person isn't just coming, like you said, like a paper panther. This isn't somebody who's just, here when the cameras are here for this event, but this is somebody who's committed. People like SGA meetings is something that, organizations like grassroots organizations can attend. Attending those student government association meetings will let you know very firsthand what students are concerned about, what are the issues students are talking about. And sometimes I know for TSU they have an area for like just public comment. So if anyone who's in the audience wants to talk about something, bring up a remark, have a question, you're able to do that, or to promote an event, or say, hey, here's this community event that we have going on, just to give it as an announcement for students, posting flyers on the bulletin boards in the student center, just ways to increase the visibility of these grassroots organizations, I think will help further better partnerships.
Man, great stuff. And I'm gonna go back and watch this. and this definitely got the wheels turning in my head on maybe doing some things with HBCUs and getting grassroots and organizing on those campus. And Kelly, I want to jump back to you. Um, like as a woman, how you feel that you see the brothers coming out of the HBCUs? Do you see them? You feel like are they organizing, or like, or is what I'm saying was true? Like it's too individualized and don't work together. What was your thoughts on that?
In my experience, I think you're right. I think Black men that graduate from HBCUs see themselves as unicorns. And like you said, when you spoke earlier about thinking of themselves as bourgeoisie, like I think that there's some truth to that. But I do want to speak about, okay, as a woman, seeing Black men organized together. I think that's a larger problem even outside of HBCUs. Like I always say to my colleagues all the time, honestly, and this may be a controversial statement, but I'm just going to say it. I think in movement spaces, there's not room for straight Black men because of certain ideologies. And I don't want to go there because that's not what we're talking about. But I think, at least in my experience in Miami, there are lots of Black men who do work together or try to collaborate together in movement spaces. I think the dynamics between Black men and Black women aren't all the way aligned. So that may be partly why I think a lot of Black men are missing in our community due to systemic racism, right? Like they're in jail, we're being hunted, you guys are being hunted, killed, whatever the case. And even when Black men do get to positions of leadership, they are silenced or they're not respected, or just, I've seen it too many times happen, like within my movement experience of like strong Black men, their masculinity is a threat. So I just wanted to offer that up. I think it's deeper than just HBCUs not encouraging Black men to work together. I think that's just a broader problem because the Black man in America is a threat. So
yep, that definitely is a wow. That's a great topic to have one day.
Next time
we don't blackboard that topic right there. That's a great topic right there.
But Kitty, that's kind of like a. Go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
No, it's okay. And I wanted to wait to be called on because I don't know what that feels like as a Black man, but I know as a Black woman, I do see Black brothers who are strong and melanated and trying to lead things, but there are certain ideologies or just what white supremacy and what racism has done to the Black man, the Black woman, the dynamics aren't there. So sometimes, I just believe in traditional gender roles. I do. So, there's a certain level of dynamics that Black men and Black women need to figure out to work together. Or sometimes there's just one Black man leading, and then, like you said, there's a bunch of other Black women following. Or maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe two Black men are quote unquote alpha males, and they don't respect enough each other to take a backseat role to be able to support whoever's leading the vision. That's what I see. But I think that just my observations as a Black woman, like strong, masculine, traditional, or that's not even traditional, like the strong Black, quote unquote, male, that is a threat. So I think in any avenue, you're going to be torn down and forced to be separated.
And I think I think a lot of that stems from a lot of the HBCUs are liberal. They are liberal, very liberal. Man, I couldn't survive with the mind I have. I don't know why I'm making it an HBCU because I'm the conservative. I guess people. So I'm unapologetic conservative about a lot of things. So I don't know if I don't know. I probably could fit in, but I still got like a sore thumb. But I think that's one of the issues. A lot of these HBCUs are very liberal in their way of thinking on a lot of things. So that and most Black, I don't even say most, but more so than Black women, Black men are conservative thinking in their thinking. So that I can see a lot of truth in what you're saying, Kelly. That I never thought about that, but that's a great point, Ashley. What you was about to say, Jerm? I'm sorry.
I guess I can't say Prairie wasn't conservative, man. We was like back then it was like It was like you felt like you was in a Spike Lee joint. You felt like you was in a Spike Lee movie. He was always
No,
fighting the
I said
system, doing marches.
HBCUs are liberal. I didn't say they were conservative. They liberal.
Oh, okay, I thought you I was say because
Oh,
I mean that's how
no.
my
I said
college
I'm
experience
conservative.
was.
No, I said most
Oh,
all.
and, and like what Brother Ross was saying, that was another difference between. And I'm not trying to house out on colleges, but at PV, you didn't have that fight the system where they're trying to go at you and stuff. Because I guess because we was in a, like I said, we in a on top of a hill, in split between two counties that had a very high clan rate. So we understood, and but at the same time, a lot of people don't understand Prairie View is Texas A&M sister school. At that time, we weren't getting the funding like we were supposed to look like Texas A&M. If you dig what I'm saying. So we at for us to get that, we took those black activists that knew how to organize. They became SGA presidents and things of that nature. Sisters who were vocal like that and bucked and fought the system. We used each other. I mean, put like this at Prairie View, you will always have a spot on the bus. Where whatever seat that fits you, they'll find you a spot. But we were always progressive as far as building people up and recognizing your role. Like you say, you go find you a black skateboarder at Prairie View, or any black college. You go find every walk of life. You go find a black person that fits that when you go to a black college. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I had to learn because when I came to school, I was coming from a gang environment, so it was totally different. Matter of fact, uh, Brother Ross, that's how I learned how to talk to people from the other side of Fort Worth, going to PV. That's how I made friends with people across town. So it taught us to be well rounded and accepting of each other, which is a problem in the black community in itself. Black people are individualists, period. We don't stick together. You have that black girl magic, but I mean, I ain't lie, that's fake as hell. Because sisters will tear you down in a minute. Soon as they turn their back on you, will cut you to shreds. You'll be naked on your backside with dealing with black women in the room full of sisters. As soon as they build you up in your face and tear you down. But that's how we are. We need to learn how to accept our differences as people, and let those differences bind us and build us up. See what I'm
See,
saying?
Jeremy,
You know,
I tell folks all the time, just accept me. Just accept me. I'm different. Just accept me. I may say some wild
But
shit
you,
every now
you,
and then
but
on
you,
Facebook.
but Kent, you have to be different. I'll tell you this, brother, because you're in a great position. But you have to be different respectfully. Okay, respectfully, not ignorantly or untacitly like you do at times. But you're learning. But you have to learn how to do it respectfully. I mean, you can get more. You can get more with honey than you can with sour grapes. Put it like this. You got to be nice. You got to have some tact.
Hey,
Respectfully.
for
I mean, blunt,
of
blunt, blunt is good
next
because it gets
month.
that attention that you need, I know what you're trying to do, but be blunt respectfully. That's all I can tell you, bro. But it's just
Next month when Scorpio season come, I'm gonna be sweet, nice, and kind on the book. I, for Scorpio
I'm a Taurus,
season.
so I'm a Taurus, so I'm just gonna be me. So if you cross that
I'm
line,
gonna
you're gonna
be
get what you get. I'm gonna be a
I'm gonna
reflection,
be the fake me. I'm gonna be the nice fake me. But
but I'll be your reflection respectfully. Even if I have to hurt your feelings, I can do it respectfully, especially on the book.
but man, guys, I think we had a great conversation tonight. Uh, this is my take. I like to leave with some type of takeaways. But seriously though, the takeaways I'm getting from listening to everyone on the panel is um that it needs to be a connection between the grassroots. Like we need to have some type of when I think of grassroots, like we are the vanguard. Like I consider grassroots organization are the vanguard, and as vanguards, we need to be we supposed to be in the front. We supposed to be leading, pulling the pack,
Well, another thing we
spearing
can do,
through.
we can do it right
But
now,
as
kid. Too. Like you say, Brother Ross is at I don't mean to cut you out because I'm running out of time.
no,
Brother Ross is at TSU. We need to get information from your organization, my organization, some other
yeah, yeah.
organizations, and get that information to them. Because, like I say, that's why I say I feel it's better to build those leaders and get them attached to an organization before they go to college. You know how we got like scholarship drives. If a black organization is giving scholarship drives from a grassroots organization, We need to make that person commit to that organization and spreading that word and that message. You see what I'm saying? That's what we're
But
trying to
that
do.
and
We're
that's
trying to
and
catch
that's
them
what I was
before
saying. That's what
they
I'm saying.
leave.
As the role of vanguard, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Spearheading and pulling from the front. So as vanguards, we should, like you said, reaching out to brother Ross, getting information out to him, connecting with these HBCUs, networking with TSU, Perry View, FAMU, Jackson State, all the people we know, the young people we know going to these universities, are like you said, John, before they even go, we need to be networking with these youth before they even go, and instilling them to say, hey, you going to this university, you part of Black Empowerment Movement. This is what we doing. We want you to duplicate the same thing on the campus. So we need, like you said, John, we need to be reaching the youth early on when they go into the HBCU. Still encourage them to go to the HBCU because it's a different experience. Looking back, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of hate I didn't go to an HBCU now. I mean, I was around them crackles, boy. But but now I wish I would have
You
went.
doing a lot.
But hindsight, I can't take it back now. It happened, you know. But yeah, we need to be reaching out to those kids that's going to HBCUs, having them duplicate our programs, reaching out, fighting the system within the HBCUs. If we're not happy with the systems of what's going on in the HBCU, we need 1,000 more demerits on campus to force the hands because it's going to take more people like him to overall push the agenda of empowerment of our community for the people that's not going to HBCU. So we need to duplicate 1,000,000 more people like him on the campuses, and it's going to take people like in the grassroots, the vanguard people, to reach the youth and send them there, make changes, and make those things happening. But before we leave, I just want to let's go start off with you, John. What you want to say on final thoughts, man?
I mean, I think we all have good points, and that's the thing. There's many issues to address, as far as the Black campuses, because it's just a microcosm of Black communities. So that's why I keep harping on. Once we address the problem in the Black communities that we have, and then just start empowering our Black communities, it'll be a ripple effect. Ripple effect. You'll see Black colleges be more thriving. You'll see Black colleges get more monies. You're starting to see now, kind of, sort of. You'll see more Black college games. And another thing that's starting as a trend, I'm glad Dion started. You're going to see more Black 5-star recruits go to these Black colleges.
And you know why? You know why, John? You know why? Because of the streets that happen in the grassroots movement. That pushed that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
But that's our job to challenge that and push that.
We did that, and that's why, as Vanguard, we gotta keep our goddamn feet on these motherfuckers' necks, man. Because the shit we was doing out in the streets, the rioting, the protests, all that shit sparked the youth to start going to the fucking HBCUs to say, hey, we gonna take our talents to the Black college. Deion Sanders going to Jackson State Universities. That didn't just all of a sudden Deion Sanders woke up and said he wanted to fucking do that shit. It was because of the shit of the Vanguard movement in the streets.
You know the irony in that is,
heat on.
You know the irony in that is, it took a Black man to die for us to want to go to a Black college. That's why I really, how we kind of came into this together.
But John,
that's the most disappointing thing.
Niggas been dying in the streets. It wasn't just a nigga dying. We had to tear some fucking shit up. It had to be some.
But I'm just saying that particular death sparked that. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying now that we have that and it's been started, and you got your supporters like Stephen Jackson, we need to, like you said, we need to keep our foot on our neck as far as that topic. We need to keep pushing it.
Yeah,
and we need to make it every day.
It ain't the time to let up. We got to keep the fucking heat on, man, and keep pushing, because as Vanguard, at the end of the day, if we don't keep the heat on, niggas will go back to doing the same old bullshit. So let's keep the fire on that ass. Demeric, what you want to say, brother? What's your final thoughts?
My final thoughts would be, I want to say, I think the biggest danger for HBCUs right now, that all of us should be conscious about and working towards addressing, is that there's this push that diversity means whiteness. And I think that a lot of HBCUs, especially those that are state funded and state run and state universities, are trying to push towards that type of approach where this wave of diversity, where everything is about diversity, means whiteness. And I think that it is our job to reinforce the fact that HBCUs are completely diverse. You will see Black Muslims, you will see Black atheists, you will see Black Christians, you will see Black tap dancers, you will see Black resistors, you will see Black folks from Nigeria, Black folks from Ghana, Black folks from the States, Black folks from Jamaica, Black folks from the Bahamas. And we each and every one of us are bringing our own cultural identities. We're bringing our own backgrounds to the table. And so diversity doesn't mean whiteness. We should already celebrate the rich diversity that already exists at HBCUs. The other thing I would say is that HBCUs should understand the difference between Negro history and Black history. And I think that HBCUs have to be more focused and centered around Black history as opposed to Negro history, because Negro history accepts that American history is true, is valid. It just left out some Black folks, and it just attempts to put in the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Rosa Parks, the Harriet Tubmans. But Black history itself says American history is completely a lie. Everything that it says is completely false. Everything that it likes, we should dislike. Everything that it says is true is false. And I think that HBCUs should be centered around that type of history, and we won't see, like you said, like you mentioned earlier, this tendency to cater towards the Black bourgeoisie. And I think that that's a product of a Negro history that accepts that there are these Black exceptional, these talented folks that are so well and so good that they deserve to be studied, as opposed to the folks like the Nat Turners and the Francis Harpers, the abolitionists, who quite literally, made us, given us the platforms and the some of the privileges that we have today. And then the last thing I would say is that formal education means nothing if it's divested from the community, if it's divested from the human experience, and if it's divested from what is currently going on today. And I'm a huge advocate for education over college. I don't think everyone has to go to college, but I think everyone should be educated. And I say that because, and so it's not even so much that we have to push folks to get to HBCUs or get to college. I think that we just need to push folks to get to that type of knowledge. If they can get that type of education, that type of literature, and that can be. I remember a few years ago, I was doing my own workshop out of my home on Black liberation theology, and that's just something that I just did on the side. We don't have to necessarily get that formal education to do that, because one, all Black folks can't afford formal education, regardless of how many scholarships they get, regardless of how much they work their asses off to get there, to get scholarships, to get great test scores. Some Black folks, are just not positioned in a place to be supported by a university in the formal sense. And so, I don't want it to be a point, 10, 20 years down the line where we have a bunch of, educated Black folks. And those are the only people that have that education, that have that knowledge, that have, that understanding about history and culture. I think that's something that should go outside of the four walls of formal education, university, college, and should just be a part of our academic experience as a whole.
Man, that is very true. That's a great point. And just keep in mind, me, Jerm, and Kelly, we definitely going to be in touch with you, working with you, Demerit. So I know Jessica reached out to you. She part of Black Empowerment, so she definitely will be in communication with you as well, brother. And Kelly, you can have the final word. What you got?
Thank you. Really privileged and thankful to be a part of this discussion. I will say that initially, when I was asked to be on this panel, I always get a little bit offended when someone says, have HBCUs failed the Black community? But learning from this discussion, I realized that HBCUs do have a heavier responsibility to, like what Demerit said, to make sure that the curriculum and the education is rooted in Blackness. Because you know what? If the HBCU is just teaching Black students how to survive in America and get a Fortune 500 job at a company, you have failed. You have failed that Black student, because instead of teaching them how to work together, you're just teaching them how to survive and be white. So I thank y'all for giving me that perspective, because I'm just learning from this discussion that HBCUs have a heavier responsibility to instill, yes, a Black-centered education, and to reach out to the communities that they are in as institutions of higher learning. Because outside of the church, the HBCU is the strongest Black institutions we have in America, right? So they have a responsibility to reach out to Black folks and teach them in a Black way to stick together, because we can't just be in survival mode. We have to learn how to thrive. So that's the last point.
Exactly. Great point, Kelly. And I thank you guys, because I'm gonna be honest. When I came on here, I was kind of one side. I was kind of biased. Like, yeah, they failed. But after listening to everyone talk, I'm like, oh, they haven't failed so much, or maybe not at all. Now I'm on the fence. I was all the way thinking they failed, but now I'm center. I'm on the fence now. So I'm glad I took a lot from this. I actually learned a lot from having you guys talk, and it brought me more back centered now. So I really do appreciate it. I love it when I have discussion where I can talk and gain something, and it can sway me a certain way. So y'all, man, y'all was a great panel. And before we go, I just, for the people that's watching, whether you're watching live right now, you're going to be watching down the road, please just remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel Black Empowerment Movement. If you want to watch more discussions and keep up with great live discussions like this, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you'll get notified every time we go live. Like a video, share some videos. We're trying to grow the channel, because as you see, we having great discussions, and we need this channel to grow, because we need other people, our people, to hear discussions like this. There's a lot of trash out there on YouTube right now. So share this video so we can grow the discussion and grow more subscribers, so that message can get out about Be Empowerment. This is the Be Empowerment Hour. And even though it went more than an hour, but hey, it's Be Empower Hour. So, hey guys, great broadcast tonight. Everyone, peace out. And till we see you again, all power to the people.
That's it.